There's always been an innovation economy, and JP Morgan has an entire business dedicated to helping it thrive. By bringing together founders, startups, investors, and ideas, JP Morgan's commercial bank helps empower thousands of high growth companies, companies that are shaping the present and the future. With tailored banking solutions and a global business network, JP Morgan helps innovators scale for today and tomorrow. Visit jpmorgan.com/startups to find out how they can help you build your future. Products and services of JP Morgan Chase & Company and its affiliates are subject to availability, eligibility, and applicable terms and policies. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Hey everyone, welcome to TechCrunch Live, where we help founders build better venture-backed businesses. I'm Matt Burns. Today's show came together over the last 48 hours, and I'm super happy about how it looks. Originally, we were going to have Ariana Huffington and Kleiner Perkins investor Mahmoud Hamed talk about employee wellness. That's Ariana's new startup. But there was a family emergency, and we had to move that event to a later date, and we wish everyone all the best. Instead, you get Dan Lewis. He's the co-founder and CEO of the unicorn freight company Convoy, along with an early investor in the company, Chris Howard. He's the founding partner at Fuel Capital. Convoy's last raise was in April, a $260 million round of VC money and debt. And with that came a new valuation of $3.8 billion. Convoy started in 2015 and was a pioneer in bringing digital services to trucking and freight. I'm thrilled to have Dan and Chris on the show today. There's a lot to talk about: timing on launch, selling into legacy operators, and upending an industry that's literally hundreds of years old. Dan gave me a crash course on logistics yesterday, and it is so complicated, steeped in tradition, and very fragmented. So this is going to be super exciting today. I have one announcement before we get started, though. Applications for TechCrunch Startup Battlefield close on Friday. Please submit your application. The program was drastically reworked this year and upgraded. In the past, since about 2008, we selected about 20 companies per show to exhibit and to present for free. This year, we're picking 200 companies to exhibit for free, and out of those 200, we're going to pick 20 to present on the big stage at Disrupt and for a chance to win $100,000. It's free to apply. We don't ask anything from the participants, and we don't take any equity. So please apply by Friday. If you just Google Startup Battlefield, you'll find the application. And with that said, let's bring on Dan and Chris. And remember, if you're in grip watching the show, you can ask questions. I'm watching the Q&A tab, and we'll ask them as soon as they come in. So, Dan, Chris, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, I want to start with you. Set the scene for me. It's 2012, 2013. What were you doing, and what did the trucking industry look like?
I was at Amazon, actually, right before starting Convoy. Trucking industry was and still is very fragmented. And I've been fascinated with startups my whole life. I remember, when I was younger, like reading the Seattle Times and looking at like the Microsoft ticker. I never invested in anything. I just was so excited about, Microsoft being from Seattle, and in college thought about doing startups, and I had a bunch of ideas over the years, some false starts, joined a couple startups to learn the ropes, and loved being in the thick of things. And honestly, I think the big thing was wanting to be part of a story. Like, I love the idea of this narrative, the story playing out, and you get to kind of be part of it and help build something different. And Amazon has had that for years. Actually, it's been kind of a big company adding more and more storylines. But I wanted to go do something where I could be, just building that and trying to figure it out. That was like a big challenge. And so that was what I was thinking about right before Convoy back then.
Why logistics?
Two reasons. One, I had some experience in logistics and had done some work with, transportation companies, other parts of the supply chain. So I had some general familiarity, never in heavy trucking. But I think a big thing that really pushed me in that direction was a couple of things. One, I was at Amazon right before I started Convoy. And I remember this moment where I was talking to one of the early pioneers of the Prime program. And I started to understand how changing delivery time and creating a promise where people truly believed it would show up in 2 days changed consumer behavior. People started shopping differently. They actually would wait longer to buy things. And by the time there was only 2 or 3 days left to buy, the only option left was Amazon, because they get it in 2 days. So I remember this very clear moment of the supply chain is winning was this thing I wrote down. And so when I started thinking about doing something different, I looked at a bunch of things that were really dependent on the supply chain or that could improve the supply chain, because I figured if this was having such a big impact in this one company, it was going to impact everything. And so many other companies would have to find solutions for it as well to compete. And I figured there's gonna be a huge, surge in investment in this area.
Oh, I like that storyline. I don't mean this in any bad way, but you didn't come from a trucking family. You don't have trucking as the background. You identified a need and built a company for it.
Yeah, I saw a problem. And I did. It's funny, when I was younger, I had a couple and things ended up helping me, but I wouldn't say they were the reason I, looked at it. My family ran a mom and pop office supply distribution company around Seattle. So I used to drive straight trucks in high school and college as my summer job. And then, we hosted a bunch of folks from Eastern Europe, refugees and immigrants coming over. My mom's an ESL teacher. And then a lot of them became truck drivers. So, that wasn't the thing that kind of made me think that's what I want to try. But as soon as I started looking in that area, I had some people I could call. And one of the early investors that, Chris knows as well, Chris, others, Hadi, I was talking to back then, Partovi, and there were a lot of people interested in sort of this space. They thought there was something happening here, and we're kind of pushing in that direction as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's bring up the pitch deck. And while we do that, Chris, I got to ask you, how did you first hear about Convoy?
Yeah, we got introduced back in 2015, actually through Hadi Partovi, who was a early advisor and investor in the company. And Hadi was an early investor in Facebook and Dropbox and a number of companies, and had worked at Microsoft with my co-founder of Fuel, Brad Silverberg. And so they connected about the company, and we just immediately hit it off. Met Dan, I think in March of 2015, and invested right away. So it was a massive opportunity, massive market that we've been thinking about. We were early investors in Flexport and had seen the opportunity in global trade. Mm-hmm. And there were only a handful of companies that were attacking local logistics and, sort of going after trucking as the backbone of the US economy. And Dan and his co-founder Grant were the perfect team. And we got really excited about investing.
Well, let's take a look at this pitch deck. And I do believe, Dan, this is your seed stage.
This is the very first deck we ever put together. I noticed the second one, because we did our seed round in 2 rounds over 3 months. We kind of did one part of it and finished, and we actually had a different logo for each deck. That was the only thing that changed. I went from a purple logo in the first one to a gray logo with a different font that I thought was cooler. Eventually, we have settled on Convoy Orange, which now we call Rorange, because over the years of designers have added a little more red, like one shade every month, and you don't notice it till it happened. But yeah, this was the very first deck from back in 2015 when I met Chris.
Take us through these slides here. What was your intent here?
So the intent on this slide was, I realized that very few people had experience in trucking, but I thought it was going to be really important to make that point and kind of set that up as actually one of the things somebody was thinking about coming into it, because it's relevant both for understanding there's not a lot of people competing for the space, and also that I wanted investors to start by kind of having an open conversation about what they don't know. And I want to know if they were going to BS or not and pretend like they knew everything about trucking. So I would, on this slide, say on a scale from 0 to 10, how much do you know about trucking? And pretty much everybody would come back in the 0 to 2 range. And it would give me a chance to say, okay, well, let me just set the stage for you then. But I kind of got it out of the way that this is an undiscovered kind of, at least within kind of the Silicon Valley or more like technology space, which is now everywhere, less discovered category to invest in and to build technology for. And so that's where that came from, this slide.
Chris, do you like it when people come to you and give you an education at the start, just a crash course?
It's super helpful to just do it right up front, to talk through, particularly in a complicated marketplace like this, where there are a lot of different players. The shipping industry has a number of different, there's short haul, long haul, and there's a lot of nuance to the industry. And so I think it's helpful right up front to talk through all the different participants in a marketplace and how you're going to approach them.
And that brings us to this slide here.
And this one is, there's some, for me included, when I was learning about this industry, it's really surprising how large it is. People don't understand or think about how large it is. Chris reminded me of I'll talk about this one first, which is, everything you have has been moved on more than one truck to get to you. it's an $800 billion a year industry in the United States alone. There are almost, in this slide, I think it's a little bit off from what I now know, there's almost 1 million small trucking companies in the country and owner operators. And, the average one has about 3 trucks. So it's extremely long tail, extremely large, extremely fragmented, and a huge amount of money every year is spent on keeping everything moving in this country. And for many people that have never thought about the trucking industry, these are pretty staggering and impressive and kind of like surprising stats. So from an opportunity perspective, it's great to share this. It's also really good when you're pitching somebody on something they don't understand and they're being surprised to the upside. So looking for surprises to the upside that they haven't thought about is going to start that conversation off with, oh, wow, there's something here. It's going to catch your attention right away. They're going to pay attention for the rest of the slides.
Chris, you're nodding, so you must agree.
Yeah, when we sort of took a step back from this, I mean, I didn't really know a lot about the transportation logistics industry before getting into it, but thinking about it from a consumer standpoint, what really hit home is when Dan said, look, everything in this room has moved on at least I think it was 3 trucks, maybe it's more than 8 trucks, and that you had done the work to count. There was an item that you were counting the number of times it touched a truck bed, and it was a high number. And so if you think about, we went and did some research afterwards. Grocery store shelves turn every 72 hours, and so in order to fill a grocery store, you have to have everything in that store is delivered via truck every 72 hours. So it's just a massive industry that touches every single sector of the economy. And we thought, all right, if you can build a digital network that sits underneath that, it's going to be a massive opportunity.
To me, that illustration really justifies the $800 million TAM or $800 billion TAM. Generally, you see those huge numbers and you throw them out the window. But to me, Dan set that up and he justified it.
That's right. In a great way here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Next slide.
Okay, and this was the slide to kind of say, this is a marketplace. And it's one of the most fragmented marketplaces that exists. And because of that fragmentation, there are heavy taxes that the middlemen in that marketplace can kind of take for the services they provide. They're not, without value and service in the industry. They're making everything happen, but they're taking a pretty heavy tax. And there's a lot of money going to match things up and make it work because it's generally difficult and offline and a bit inefficient. And so in this case, I had done the math. I actually did research and on in Excel or something, added up the number of trucks that belong to the top 20 trucking companies and divided by the total number of trucks. And I realized that, 90% of the trucks you see running down the highway are owned by kind of medium-sized small carriers or owner operators. And that level of fragmentation is rare even within some marketplaces, just to have it completely long tail. And so it kind of helps. Again, it's a pattern. Investors are looking, and Chris is looking at different patterns. And when you see a super fragmented marketplace, it's a really good indicator that something's going to be, there's going to be opportunity for efficiencies.
So we're 5 slides in right now, and you haven't talked about your product at all. Just the huge problem, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's what is the problem we're going to solve? And
let's go to the next slide
I really
here.
think that's important. Yeah. Okay, so this is back to the opportunity. So now we've said, okay, it's a really big market. It's a big opportunity. It's broken. It's fragmented. There's a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of waste. And there's a really good opportunity for technology to make a difference here. Oh, and it turns out that there aren't a lot of technology companies even considering this space. This was the hardest slide for me to build. I remember 3 or 4 agonizing nights trying to figure out how in one slide to easily communicate to someone that there's this massive opportunity that few people are going after. For some reason, this visualization took a while to come to me. But I probably pulled data on 100 industries. And then I went into AngelList and I pulled out, there's a category search. I don't know if it still exists on AngelList where you can filter by category and it'll show you all the companies that are in their database by that category. So when I went to trucking, there were only 30.
Wow.
And when I went to all these other ones, and you can see there were, orders of magnitude more. And so for me, this was a really strong indicator that A, it's time to jump into this space and move quickly because there's a big opportunity. And B, for pitching Chris and others, here's why this is such a great space to get into versus some other categories.
Now, Chris, would you vet this number? Because to me, this seems wild. out of
Yes.
bounds.
Yeah, so we had heard about a couple of companies in the space, but they were still relatively new and unfunded. I think they had raised maybe a Series A at the time. And I went and dug, over the last day since we did the call yesterday, to find when did Uber Freight launch. And the press release the article that I could find was in 2016. So really, Uber Freight didn't exist either. So there, 30 seems about right in terms of the number of companies. Dan also backed this up by having a 2x2 of those companies and which markets they were focused on and where they were going to go after. So it helped really refine the pitch and tell the story of what their unique difference was relative to the 30 companies that were funded. But yeah, I mean, we did our own homework to try to figure out, how big is the opportunity? Has the ship already sailed? And how many competitors were there?
Yeah. Chris, can you update this number for us right now in 2022? What does it look like?
I don't know. I don't have that number right now.
Do you know, Dan?
How many companies?
By the Series A, I believe it was 100.
Okay.
I remember updating this, or Series B or something like that. I mean, it went up pretty fast. I'm sure it's in the hundreds now. At the time, there were some logistics companies coming in, but they were all about last mile delivery. It was last mile local product delivery, last mile reverse logistics. There were some kind of ocean, some stuff like that happening. But again, that heavy truckload category was kind of below the radar of a lot of folks and not really something people thought about. If you're in one of the hotbeds of startups at this point, you're not waking up probably thinking, how is trucking doing today?
Sure.
You don't use trucking on a daily basis, and it's unlikely maybe you have friends and family that are truck drivers as much, especially coming out of, let's say the Silicon Valley area. So
we have a question from the audience and is relevant here. Ross asks, what's the future of logistics and Convoy with the growth of sensor technology and self-driving truckers? So said a different way, what does this market look like when you consider self-driving trucking?
Yeah, the short answer is eventually that will happen. I think it's a very long ways out from being kind of a material influence in the industry. But when it happens, it's not going to go from being all human-driven trucks to all self-driving trucks overnight. There will be years, if not decades, of transition where new capabilities come on. And during that time frame, different weather conditions, different times of day, different state laws, different equipment capabilities by truck is going to mean that all of a sudden you go from every single truck in the network being able to run 11 hours a day across every location in the country at all times, one rule, to hundreds of permutations and variables about what a truck's capabilities are. For that world to actually work, you're going to need technology services like Convoy to do it. The existing person making phone calls and kind of manually brokering in that world is going to have a very hard time keeping all of those variables in their head, because it's going to be, it'll be massively multiplied of complexity beyond where it is today. So I think the digital networks are actually completely required once you get to that point, because it's going to be a mixed fleet for years. And I have a bunch of thoughts on how it should actually roll out. We can do some other time if you guys want to hear them. They're not all, some of them are a little controversial, but I have an idea of how this should roll out in the market over the next, when it's ready.
I'm just going to throw this out here. You can write a guest post for us and I'll publish that because I'm super curious about it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, great. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So this and the next slide, we're showing what we learned from talking to shippers and carriers. So what I did when I started Convoy was I spent 6 weeks before I actually started it, before even deciding to do it, and just went out and talked to people. I went to truck stops. I went to warehouses. I called people I knew from previous lives working in different parts of the supply chain and asked them how they used and experienced trucking, what it was like to be a truck driver, what it was like to work with trucks coming to your dock. I remember I have joked with this. I went to a Whole Foods warehouse south of Seattle and just started wandering around until someone was like, "Why are you here?" I'm just starting trucking. Like, you have to leave. I walked into a truck stop. I didn't know what I was doing. I remember I was like wearing a collared shirt and I had a clipboard and some Starbucks gift cards from truck drivers to like get them talking. I was like, and then I walked. I'm like, that was a bad idea. That's not the right pitch. But I figured it out over time. Embarrassing myself a few times and had a bunch of conversations. And what it resulted in was, honestly, hundreds of quotes and data points that I had written down about what people didn't like about the industry. I had a what sucks about being a shipper's list and what sucks about being a carrier's list. And this was an example of what frustrated shippers. This is more for local trucking at the time. But these are just the high level bullets, and I had a bunch of stories behind each of these. Similar on the next slide for carriers. And I think what I learned was many entrepreneurs, at least at that point, didn't go out there and do that level of primary on the ground research with their potential customers and suppliers before they started pitching. And I just instinctively did that. And so when I had my first pitches, I was so fluent in like what the customer needed and so oriented around the actual customer problem that I wasn't just BSing my own opinion. I was simply explaining the problems that the industry was telling me existed.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I don't think enough people do the due diligence, or they might talk to half a dozen. But how many people did you talk to in total?
Probably 100.
Yeah.
That's period. It was every day, all day.
What happens, Chris, when you talk to one of these founders pitching you and you definitely feel that they haven't done their due diligence like Dan did here?
Yeah, after seeing thousands and thousands of pitches over the last 15 years, I mean, you immediately look for two things. One, how much founder market fit do they have? So there are sort of two founder prototypes that we like to find, and that is the founder that's solving the problem for themselves. So they experienced some problem when they were either building a company or they were doing something and they wanted to go solve that problem. The second is somebody who actually goes out and does their homework and talks to the customer and really has that insight and looks for the voice of the customer to figure out what is the exact problem they need to go solve. And it's obvious when that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now, Dan, do you still do this? Do you still talk to your customers? I guess that's a silly question.
I do. I talk to customers all the time. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think you can ever stop. Now I'm talking to different customers. I'm meeting with, a lot of times we focus on pretty big national shippers. But, for our last leadership team offsite, we do one every quarter. Instead of going into a conference room or, running out of space to spend a day together, we just went to a truck stop and had a bunch of our truck drivers show up. We had all of our leadership team get in trucks and go run for an hour with each driver and talk to them and ask them questions, just to feel what it was like being in the truck, hearing how they talked about their day, the issues they deal with on the road. After that, we went over to one of our shippers' offices and spent 4 or 5 hours sitting with their transportation team, asking them how they run their transportation department, went and looked to their warehouse. So I mean, that was, a fantastic offsite. And
yeah.
We have time to talk about, maybe our strategy and exactly where we were and all of our programs and everything, but we had a chance to experience it. And our first value of the company is start with the customer. And that's one that we actually didn't include originally when we wrote our list of values, because we're like, oh, it's so inherent to who we are. And then we realized as we built Convoy, it wasn't. A lot of people had joined, we got a lot bigger, and we didn't have that original kind of culture was fading a little bit around always being oriented to the customer. So we did a lot of work a couple of years ago to bring it back right before COVID.
I think the other thing that you did too is I think Grant did a whole series of blog posts where he got in a truck and drove across the U.S. with truckers and documented, the challenges they were facing and how they were building their business, and then made that. So it's a great, if anybody's interested in the industry, that was a really great sort of documentation of this whole industry and how it operates. I think the other was we went and watched a documentary before making the investment in a company called Big Rig, which does the same thing. It sort of documents the importance of trucking as the backbone of the U.S. economy. So
Grant, there's a big trucking show called the Mid-America Trucking Show every year, and Grant drove in 3 series of Convoy trucks, trucked with folks running Convoy loads out to there. So he kind of hopped between 3 trucks to get out to this conference, which is great. Got a chance to spend time and learn, and there's no substitute. There's just no way to like sit around and think about stuff. You have to be present with the people you're supporting.
I really like this line of questioning. This is fantastic, but I got to ask, have you driven a semi? Can you drive a Peterbilt?
I have not driven a semi that requires CDL. I want to do that. I actually, another employee at Convoy started getting their CDL. I was going to work on it and then COVID hit. So I don't have an excuse anymore though.
Yeah, no more excuses.
It'd be fun to do. I've driven a lot of straight trucks, but that doesn't really count. That's not the same level of challenge.
All right, well, let's take a look at the next slide. There's a couple more points I want to get through, and we have about 7 minutes left.
Yeah, so, okay. This was a slide that kind of represented why this was a great moment to do. Actually, go to the next slide first, and I'll come back to this one. So effectively, one of the reasons it was a good idea to build Convoy in 2015 is because prior to that year, or late 2014, 15, the ingredients didn't exist to do this. And what I mean is this long tail of trucking companies was not on a platform. And they might have a, some sort of tracking unit in their truck, maybe a GPS unit to help them with directions and such. And maybe it sent some data back to their dispatcher, but it wasn't an open platform you could plug into. And there was no way to send them one. And so, because they're moving all around the country and you're brokering a load to them 2 days before they pick it up. So in 2015, if you go to that now, go back to the slide we had previously. This ad was from late 2014. That's when AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, et cetera, started giving out a free phone when you renewed your plan. It says new or upgrade 2-year activation required. Everyone probably remembers that was getting smartphones back in 2014, 15. You'd either get the discounted phone or the free phone. Mm-hmm. And until 2014, the free phone was not an Android or iOS based smartphone. It was like the Kick or like, the Motorola Razr or something like that. So it didn't have an open platform and didn't have an app ecosystem. And in the same way. And all these resources. So when that started, it unlocked this whole opportunity. All of a sudden, truck drivers had the supercomputer in their truck. They were on a platform that had, efficient GPS that worked in rural areas. They had unlimited data that worked all over the US on all the highways. And we could put an app on their phone and get all this have a two-way communication stream with them and get their documents and all the paperwork. So all of a sudden, this was possible. And I think that was really important for explaining, because every investor asked, well, why hasn't this been done before? Why hasn't somebody else already done this? And we had a really concrete answer as to why now was the time to put the money behind it.
Yeah. So when you look back at this time, was this just pure luck or did you anticipate this?
We were looking and seeing, where knowing that smartphones were required, we were checking to see whether or not drivers had them. We found a lot of them didn't when we were deciding to do this, but we thought incorrectly, this is a mistake we made. We thought that we could copy the Uber and Lyft playbook and the local delivery companies' playbooks back then and give the drivers a smartphone to use. It turned out, because they're unlike those services, when they started doing a Convoy job, they were already truck drivers. They were already running for other companies and other brokers when we started getting them to do some of our business. And so when they were doing their other jobs, they just kind of put the Convoy phone to the side and use their old, their phone they use for everything else. And they wouldn't really check the other phone because they weren't kind of always working on a Convoy job, if that makes sense. This was something they were already doing. So they wouldn't use it. And we realized that, we had to make sure they were using it. So fortunately, enough of them were starting to get their own phones at that point that it wasn't an issue. But I think if we would have started a year earlier, assuming we could have given them smartphones, it wouldn't have worked. And there were a couple other companies that were tinkering in the space early. And I think the reason they weren't maybe growing as quickly or on the radar as much is because they probably hit that issue and they were too early.
What about now? Could you be as competitive now?
Do you mean?
If you were to launch the company now, right, with this set, and you didn't have this secret sauce of a free cell phone, would you be as successful, or would the challenges be different?
Well, to be clear, the free phone didn't work very much. Oh, I got what you mean. The new truck drivers getting smartphones. Yeah. So now everybody's got a smartphone. All the truck drivers already have them. So it's not as much of a greenfield opportunity. So you'd have to find ways to differentiate in other ways. It wouldn't be being a first mover advantage. I think, as any probably founder would look at their business and say, if I did this all over again, I probably would do it better. I was like, I have 50 things I could imagine. But I think we'd have to find other ways to differentiate and other angles to take coming into the market, not just kind of greenfield.
Yeah. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. And Chris, I'll ask you a question. You sat through this pitch right now again today, and then you did what was that, almost 8 years ago? Mm-hmm. What are you looking for as a seed investor?
Yeah, there are two things that we spent a lot of time on. One I mentioned earlier, which is finding founder market fit, teams that are purpose-built and can go build, understand a market deeply, are willing to do the research, listen to the voice of the customer, and then build the right solution for that market. And the second thing that we look for is just a big market. So, on the third slide, you get a sense for how large this market and the opportunity could be. What this slide showed me is Dan's willingness to test and iterate to find the right approach to reach that audience. As a marketer, so I spent 10 years in marketing before getting into venture. Mm-hmm. You want to understand who the customer is, but then you want to figure out how you're going to reach them with the right message at the right time. And so Dan's willingness to go out to a truck stop with a clipboard, try offering phones to this audience, realize that they're not willing to accept them because on the previous slide there was this massive distrust of these sort of intermediaries, meant that he had to go then completely change their approach, build an iOS and Android app, and sort of retool how they get to market. And so we look for that ability as well. Founders who are purpose-built, large markets, but then this sort of willingness to listen to the customer and continue to iterate your business.
It sounds to me that you want founders to tell you what they've tried and failed at.
Yeah, failure is a good thing as long as you learn quickly and continue to iterate and find the right solution.
That's really good advice. Dan, let's skip to the last slide here.
Yeah, this actually hits on that point as well. So I had a version of this in the first deck that I used for our seed round. This is a slide we added in our Series A deck, which is at the very end of 2015. And that round was led by Greylock and Reid Hoffman. And I remember on this particular slide, a lot of investors thought it was really valuable. I remember Reid in particular asked me to stop when I got to this slide. And he said, can you go through every single box on this slide and tell me the full details of every single one? And he was so interested in what Chris was just describing of what did you learn? What worked and what didn't work? What did you figure out? How much have you grown in your understanding of the problem and the customer and the opportunity over the last 6 months? And did you use the money from the team to actually become better? And so this is where this slide came in. And so we spent a bunch of time on it and ended up becoming kind of the key slide for that Series A deck, which was what have we learned since we started, independent of just showing kind of like some high level data results, which are sometimes you can manage those all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, this looks like a great slide for a seed round or an A round, but you wouldn't see this later on, would you? Would you put this in a Series C?
I would continue to show things we had learned. Yeah. And I think what we switched to in later rounds, I remember we'd have a slide up front that would kind of start by saying, here's what we have accomplished since we raised money last year, since like this last milestone, like here's what has happened. Mm-hmm. And part of that would be, here are major like learnings or breakthroughs we've had. In addition to showing maybe other milestones and data points.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this slide. I love showing what you've learned and where you've came from. And Chris, I'm going to give you the last word here until we move on to pitch practice. But what advice would you have for founders presenting what they learned?
Yeah, I think the way that Dan, this is a new slide, this is a Series A slide. So the way that Dan originally shared this slide, it was more in the context of what are going to be the benefits for both the shippers and the carriers, and how are they going to design their solution to map to that. And I think it's really great to always put these into context of who your customer is and why they're going to care about your product. And so I think Dan did an excellent job of doing that and framing why their solution was going to win in the market, specifically because they're going to address the biggest problems and challenges in the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Now, Dan, you raised a whole bunch of money in April. How much runway does that give you? Are you going to raise again?
We're looking at some interesting deals. And so there's various factors that could play into that.
Yeah. Okay. That was a great non-answer.
Yeah, it was a non-answer. We raised and we've become, the profitability of our company has improved dramatically over the last 12 months. We put a lot of work in during COVID because we basically, honestly, the beginning of COVID was extremely painful. We had taken out contract positions and everything flipped upside down. The truck rates went up 100 and something % over year. And so we did a lot of like portfolio retooling, not to get into that, but it's actually been really healthy for our business to, kind of fight through that period and become, much more profitable as a business. So I think if we can continue to grow and scale over the next 12, 18 months, we're going to be in a really, really good spot from a overall cash flow perspective. But there's questions around deals and there's questions about the economy. And we are seeing headwinds in the industry now. We're seeing freight slow down actually right now, a little bit with just some of the slowing in the economy.
I'm sure we could do another whole 30 minutes on lessons from the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for doing this part of the show, and we're going to move on to pitch practice. With pitch practice, we ask companies to submit an application, and then we select these companies pretty much live and have them come on the show, and they're going to present their company to you two and the audience, and then they have 2 minutes to present it, and then 4 minutes of feedback from the three of us. All right. Well, with that, let me pull up my sheet here. We're going to bring on Brent Oberlin. His company name is Lost Abroad, and they've raised under 50,000. Brent, are you there? I see you.
I'm here.
Great. Well, sir, you have 2 minutes to present your company, starting now.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Brent, and at Lost Abroad, we're creating delightful and effective language learning experiences through video games. So when I was an undergrad, I studied abroad in Hong Kong. And when I was on the bus, I heard other people yelling in Cantonese, "Yalo," to get the bus driver to stop. And when I yelled "Yalok" and the bus stopped, I felt like a superhero that just discovered their powers. I was excited and I wanted more. So I made observations, I experimented, I asked my classmates to teach me, and I got pretty good. So now my co-founders and I, we did what Dan did, and we talked to over 100 successful and unsuccessful language learners. And we discovered that the other ways people typically learn a language, through apps and classrooms, are dreadfully boring. Even the people that it worked for that learned a lot, they're reluctant to recommend what they used because the experience was painful. And that's the real problem. Just like dieting and exercise, people can't stick with whatever language learning tool they choose. And we're going to solve this with something that's so sticky, it's distracting, which is video games. Our ultimate vision is to have a full language learning metaverse where players, either by themselves or with their friends or others, can learn a language and use it to achieve in-game goals like designing their living spaces, going shopping, ordering at a restaurant, owning a restaurant, and making friends along the way. We'll be making these for the 51% of Gen Z and millennials in the US that plan to travel internationally at least once a year. And this group craves experiences, we've all heard. And being able to speak the local language while abroad enables them to explore a new culture as a participant and not just a tourist. Going to monetize through both a subscription and paid DLC in the form of content packs and cosmetics. Our waitlist already has over 1,400 people. We've got our first release slated for this fall. We've bootstrapped up until now. We're currently raising money through an equity crowdfunding round, and we'll follow that up with a pre-seed to get our first 3 product launches in 3 languages. For more information on our product, business, and the crowdfunding campaign, check out lostabroadgame.com. Let's get Lost Abroad together.
Brent, that was great. I really liked how you said that you turn a tourist into a participant. Mm-hmm. I think that's really fantastic. I took my son to Europe for the first time this summer, and he speaks a little bit. So he was a participant. Yeah. All right, Chris, let's start with you. Any questions or feedback?
Well, there's a few things that I love about your pitch. The first is that you're solving a problem and you're scratching an itch that you had, and giving people superpowers to be able to sort of communicate and speak in the local language of wherever they're going to visit. So I think that's really, really awesome. There's nothing more engaging than video games. And so if you can find a way to integrate language learning into video games, I think that's a really powerful product idea. And the fact that you have a wait list, you have people signed up, ready to go, is a real testament to having some early traction that people can sort of bet on and believe in. So there's a lot to like about your pitch.
Man, as a seed investor, Chris, was there anything missing or anything you need to hear more?
I'm sure I double click on a lot of things, as you went through the pitch. I think how you reach this audience, the marketing and go to market of the specific product, the wedge that you want to launch with. You mentioned a lot of different sort of video game scenarios that you want to launch with. And so how you test and iterate those, how you get the audience into the game, how engaging is it? How do you keep them online with Gen Z? When do you start to build that engagement and that conversation? If they're going to go travel down the road, do they think about it after they book the travel? Do they think about it before? And how do you give them the ability to learn quickly? My sense is that they probably book the travel and then they figure out, oh, now I got to go figure out the language. And so how do you do that in a time frame and an engaging way that makes it so it's fun and easy to learn? And so I'd want to dig into that, but I'm sure you have a lot of answers there and would be fun to dig in.
Yeah, Dan, let's go to you. Any feedback?
Yeah. So thanks, Brent. I really, really enjoyed it. think you were very clear in terms of describing kind of the scenario in which somebody would want to do this, or maybe why they'd want to do this, and what your product is. So it was really clear. I have one thing that just personally strikes me. My mom's an ESL teacher. I think I mentioned that. I became fluent in Spanish living abroad for a year. I remember my own tactics for how I learned, how I taught myself how to learn. I would learn through music a lot. I'd sit there and read lyrics on the bus. So like just creative ways to learn language, I think is really personally interesting to me. So you probably struck a nerve there in a positive way. So I echoed a lot of what Chris said. I'll give 3 things I thought about for where you could maybe improve it. One is, are there any data points or stats around the number of people that have this problem around, the stickiness of games versus language learning programs? Like, just a couple numbers thrown in there can add some conviction and belief to like the generalizations you're making. And I don't remember if there are any actual stats or data in the short pitch. Another one is, are there existing games or distribution channels through games where you could reference them as saying, here's a game that has brought in this other thing before, and there's other games out there that are, we're going to build our own, but the gaming industry has done this in this way or this other specific way before too, where they brought in some other kind of like purpose for their games. And related to that, lastly, I would look at examples of how people have learned other skills through games. And I'll give an example. Code.org, which Hadi and Ali Partovi founded, is teaching students how to K through 12 students about computer science education, how to get into computer science, but trying to gamify that in many ways. They create games that make it fun to learn computer science. I know there have been some board games people have done. So there's other examples maybe of where games have been used to help people learn other things, and it might help again from that conviction and believability that this opportunity is going to work.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, Brent, thank you so much for presenting your company. Please feel free to apply again when we get you back on with a revised pitch.
All right, will do.
Brent.
Thank you guys for the feedback and for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely. Brent. All right, next up we have Tom with Chargezilla. They've raised $50,000 to $100,000 so far. Tom, are you there? I don't see you in the view yet. If you can turn on your camera and your mic, that would be great. There you are. I got you now. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that.
Yeah, great. Well, you have 2 minutes to present your company, starting now.
Sure. I will start the slideshow. And oh, don't.
Nope.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So my company Chargezilla is connecting people from who are having electric vehicles to the homeowners who have a charging station. So a peer-to-peer sharing of electric vehicle charger sharing. It's like Airbnb for EV charger sharing. Suppose you have a charger at home, you can list in our platform, make it searchable and bookable for the public. Anybody can book it. So far, and at the same time, our platform provides around 65,000 charging stations from all EV charging companies, including Tesla. So we are bringing a lot of people from the electric vehicle community to use our platform free for searching and finding charging stations, as well as they are able to have booking a charging station near their home, work, or while on the trip, because we are empowering the homeowners to share their charging stations. So this is addressing a 2 million number of 2 million market for having electric vehicles. Out of that, we are trying to attain at least like around 10,000 customers in a year or two. We are planning around in 15 months we'd like to attain. So far we have around 1,000 people using our platform. Technology has been built, the stack has been launched. People are booking and they can book anywhere in the United States and Canada. So far we are growing around 1,027% with the user base growing in our platform who are searching for charging stations. We are focused on building more customer sign-ups who want to share their charging stations. And after that, we are also going to focus on the commercial side, hotels, parking garages, rental car companies, apartment communities, where they all can share their charging station in our platform, make it for the public, and so that it will increase the number of charging stations in the country. So it will increase the EV adoption, reduce carbon emissions, protect the environment. So this is about Chargezilla.
I just put in my my area, and I found 2 new chargers that I didn't know were by me. So I mean, it definitely works.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
for the test.
All right. Well, Dan, let's start with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks for walking through that. It's a really interesting concept, and
Thank you, sir.
I drive an electric car, so I'm going to check it out as well.
Mhm.
I liked that you included data points throughout the presentation, right? Part of the pitch that helped me kind of get a sense for the scope and opportunity, maybe what the size of your platform is. I would even go maybe further and kind of talk about also include things around the total opportunity size. I didn't
Yeah.
get a sense of that, just high level, like market size, opportunity, things like that. In a couple areas where I think you were speaking pretty quickly,
Okay.
and I would slow down just from the pace of delivery. The problem statement, I think, is pretty obvious for people that are in this space, but not everyone's driving a car like that. Maybe not everyone has that challenge. So I might share a little bit about the problem. Like, how often is it an issue to be able to find a charger and to keep your vehicle charged? So people understand why this matters if they don't live in that world themselves.
Oh, yeah, very good. I missed a key point problem, that availability of lack of charging stations. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That's the main problem that going to be the stumbling block for EV adoption, availability of charging stations and the charging deserts, range anxiety. When you're in an electric car on a road trip, this is where we are going to focus on solving, because more people can share their charging stations. It will increase the number of charging stations in the area anyway.
That's great, Dan. Or I'm sorry, Chris. Feedback.
Yeah, I think, again, I echo Dan, great job on the presentation. There's a lot of tailwinds in this market. Obviously EV adoption is only growing. You have a regulatory environment that continues to push in this direction. I think I read something like 80% of all cars sold in 2030 will be EV based. So you have a lot of market opportunity there that's sort of inherent in the market, but I already knew that coming into it. So explaining that and why this is a big opportunity, I think, to Dan's point, would be helpful. I think the second thing, just to add here, is I don't know anything about you or your background or why you're the right founder to go after this market. So I think, having an introduction that says, either you spent time in the space or you are uniquely suited to go solve it would be helpful. And then the third thing is around business model. So you mentioned free a couple of times, that it's free to adopt the app and to be able to find a charging station, but I don't get a sense yet for how you're going to make money. And I think, great founding team, large market, great product with a great business model, I think are the sort of 4 pillars of your pitch. And you want to make sure that you elaborate on those in some way or allude to them in some way.
That's good feedback.
Keep that, yeah.
All right, fantastic, Tom. Thank you for joining us, and please apply again. We'll get you back on.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you, sir. Thank
All
you.
right. Well,
Thank
we're
you,
gonna bring up.
really appreciate this.
Yeah, great. Well, we're gonna bring up one more company from Kratos SAP. I'm not gonna attempt the name because I think I'm gonna ruin it. Can you introduce yourself though? Turn on your camera and your mic. I'll put the URL in the chat room. There you are. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well, thanks.
Great, fantastic. Well, if you can introduce yourself so I don't butcher your name, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Azade. I'm from Berlin, and I'm the co-founder of the Kratos app.
All right. Well, you have 2 minutes to present your company starting now.
So I'm here to present Kratos app as supporting mental health of the teenagers using AI and the XR coaching. So I am a mom myself. I have a teenager at home, and I'm experiencing the problem which all the parents are experiencing right now. We want to help and support the teenagers and their caregivers on their journey to become better through crisis, and also better in mental health and better in social and emotional skills. We do have within our team we are 3 co-founders. Myself, I am an engineer and manager myself, and we have 2 clinical psychologists, and also one of the clinical psychologists has experience with the marketing. Unfortunately, the crises are quite devastating for at least for the last couple of years. The number of the suicide rates in the teenagers are gone up, and then teenagers are in crisis, as well as the parents and societies are also in crisis. All of us, we want to have the personalized and also the relatable, accessible, science-based solution for the problem. So right now is the prevention is the solution for the prevention in mental health crisis of the teens and families are not available, is easily available. Most of the solutions are in the management part of the mental health. And the mental health, digital mental health market is quite huge, over $220 billion. And the market for the prevention is also quite big, as we are targeting almost $30 billion per year. Or Mark, we are right now, we are focusing on the B2C market to understand the product and the users themselves. And also and later on, we would like to go to B2B2C.
Fantastic. And I'm going to cut you off there. Time's up.
Yeah.
But thank you for addressing this. I have 2 teenagers, and there's nothing that keep me up more than maybe my basement flooding, but my kids' mental health. It is so important. I do think about my basement flooding a lot too, but that's something different. All right, Chris, let's start with you. Any feedback?
I'm not sure there's an app for your basement flooding. Yeah, I loved the pitch so much so that we've made a number of investments in the space. I just believe that mental health, specifically for this audience, is really, really important. So I really applaud you for going after this market. I think the thing that I don't quite understand is what your product does and what the opportunity is here. You talked a lot about that parents are experiencing these problems, that there's a lot of data and research about how to address them, but I don't yet have a sense for what your product will do to help alleviate that problem. Having invested in the space, we understand that it is a big market. There's a lot of opportunity. There's either you're a sort of connective fiber between the mental health community and the teenagers themselves, or you're doing some other things to sort of create behavioral modification for teenagers to try to either alleviate whatever current situation they're in or get them help. So I'd love to better understand exactly what the product does. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I think is, talking about the B2C market at the end, the sort of going to consumers versus going to businesses. Again, it sort of hints at you're not quite sure yet what the product is and how you market it. And I think that that's a really important part of the pitch.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Dan, any feedback from you?
Yeah, I very much echo what Chris mentioned. I think it's really important. And I was thinking about, the need to, come up with new solutions and new approaches for helping teens discover this or how you get support, especially with kind of how they engage with the world today being different than maybe how teens engaged with the world 20 years ago. One thing I wasn't sure of, it seemed like you were dancing around maybe the origin story of this a little bit being tied to, and maybe it's not, but tied to COVID, because you kind of talked about now and there kind of being this recent urgency and there's something happening right now. And I was kind of wondering, is it because of that? Is it because of school shootings we're seeing? Like, what was kind of driving? You mentioned the stat about a minute and 5 seconds in around suicide rates going up, but it took a while to kind of get to like what was maybe driving this right now. So I think a more clear, upfront problem statement around why this is important now, or maybe why we need to be really focusing on this, even if it's always been important, it helps to kind of clarify why this matters right now. So I'd focus on that a little bit. And I think also to Chris's point, are there specific examples of how the current system is not delivering? Either there's not enough available caregivers, schools aren't providing the right things, parents aren't able to do it in the right way, why isn't the current system providing for this? And then how are you going to provide something that's going to solve that gap? I'll throw out one thing that came up. I mean, we saw a pitch earlier around, using games to learn language. Maybe there's a a way, to like, is that an example of like, there are teens love playing games on their phone. Let's create games where they actually help someone, they solve, like they actually work on someone's life as part of the game, like getting them through challenges or learning these different tactics or mechanisms. It's not trying to say that's the idea, but what are examples like that where you could say, here's how we're going to do it?
Yeah, that's fantastic, Dan. Thank you. You have 20 seconds left. Anything to add?
Yeah, well, we are in preventive of the mental health issues. So we are just kind of tackling both sides, to teaching teenagers the soft skills and also the learning material, about the mental health issue, and also at the same time to the parents, how to help the teenagers to become better version of themselves, let's say.
Yeah, that is important.
So,
I love that
supporting.
approach.
Love that.
I need help to present to my kids.
Yeah, that's where I am. Why I started this as a parent myself. It's experience it myself.
I would say that in your picks too. You're a parent yourself, and you're going through this as well. Everyone can relate to that because we don't know what to do, right?
Exactly.
Yes. We are in unknown situation.
Yes. All right. Well, great. Thank you so much for your time today and presenting your company. I put your company's URL in the chat for the room. All right. Well, that concludes today's episode of TechCrunch Live. And Dan, Chris, this has been fantastic. And I think the takeaway here is to talk to the customers, and you have to know the customers really well. And that will shine through on the pitch. So until next time, thank you for watching. Next week, you're going to have Brian Heater. He's going to be hosting Jordan Kong from Atomic and Swathi from Found. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.